Hello guys. Welcome to another live stream. Hope you all are doing well. And we're gonna have a chill session today. We're gonna finish up the short from last week. So in the last stream, we were working on this Cyberpunk Skyline, and this is where we got it. It's not a bad shot by any means, but it's nothing to write home about. It still looks like a clean 3D render. Today we'll be turning it into a cinematic shot, adding depth, rain, and foreground storytelling. I worked a little bit on it off stream, and let me just show you where we are right now. So this is where I've got it, and I'll show you the steps I took to get here, and also take it a step forward by adding some more foreground details and rain, atmosphere, all those things. Just waiting in for a few more of you guys to join, and we'll get started shortly. So compared to this shot that we had last week, there's quite a few differences you might notice between last week's shot and this one. But the main layout is the same, the rooftops the same, the hero buildings are the same. But the way I've approached the scene building has changed a little bit. So let's just dive into it. So first thing that I changed from this shot was to change the cluster of buildings. Previously, let me see if I can just show you the screenshot. Yeah, it was very randomly placed. There were no well-defined foreground, midground, or background layers. All the buildings were kind of sparsely placed, and there were no good focal points which drew your eye, how a cinematic shot should. So, off the stream, I worked on certain things. I'll just show you. First thing first, here is the rooftop that we have our camera on, and I took these two buildings, this Kinoxis building and this monolithic corporate tower, and I placed them one on the right 2/3 here, and one on the left 2/3, a little bit further back, I guess. And then I placed some buildings in varying heights in clusters around the two hero buildings, because that's usually how cities are. There's one tall block, and there's a bunch of other buildings around the bigger buildings. Was the first change I did, and we have a very sparse but impactful foreground layer. These two buildings on the right, this one on the left, and even these three buildings if you count them, framing the foreground from here so that it draws your eye towards the important parts of the frame. Next, the very important addition from the previous week's stream was it still looked quite empty and there was no evidence of a large sprawling city behind the main buildings that we had placed. So for this I used a nifty tool called City Generator by probabletrain.itch.io. I'll include this link in the chat. And let's just look at what it does. I've used this before for one of my previous maps I was making for another short film. This was way too massive, and the city, though I have the model somewhere, it was too massive and I couldn't handle it at the time. Also, the script is being worked on as of now, so it didn't come to fruition. But I have used this tool before and I really find it very useful for prototyping cities quickly. So if I click on run generator, you get this crazy grid type thing. You have this thing that you can move, and you have certain things here. So this is basically called a tensor field, and so if I just click here, we have different parts: grid 0, grid 1, grid 2, grid 3, and radial. This is the radial. Whenever you click on something and move it, it will be selected. It's the grid 1 or grid 0, I guess, and you can select the theta, which is the influence of the certain position you can see of the certain element. Grid 1 as well, you can change the theta to see what it's doing. You can see the bottom right corner. To understand what it does in a nutshell is come down to the map. You click on generate everything, but let me just generate the water first. So it usually comes with the water body. You can choose to remove that water body. You can keep generating until you are happy with what you have. You can zoom out and generate again for a larger city block, or zoom in for a smaller section and generate. Keep generating until you're happy with what you have. I hope you guys can hear me properly, guys. Let me know if there are any issues in the audio and I'll address them. So when you're happy with whatever river or coastline you want to go with, then we have the main, which you can click to generate. You can keep generating until you're happy with these. This actually shows you the main roads in the map. You can have this. So if you go back to the tensor field, you can see that the radial is here. Now if I move this, then click generate the main, you can see that the radial is now here, and depending on the generation of the main, it will move around. But basically this tensor field is what influences the main generation as well. It's a little complicated and you can definitely go through the documentation to understand it better. So let's just generate the water. This is a very quick way to generate lots of background buildings very quickly for your shots. You can even use these to make a full city, but the texturing process would be quite tedious in my opinion. So for example, we decide to go with this. Let's go where we have a radial remove the radial link and use the water. Generate mains. This radial works. Major. This These are the main roads which fork out from the main highways. The yellow ones are the highways, and the major roads you can keep generating them until you're happy with the design. You also have an empty park here. Then you have miners, which generates the smaller roads in between the blocks. You can change the parameters. I'm not going into a lot of detail for this specific tool right now, but you can even change the number of parks. Suppose big parks to 8 and small parks to, for example, 4. You get more parks. And then you can come down to buildings, add buildings, and you get a lot of different size city blocks. You can change the minimum area. Suppose if I change it 25, you'll get smaller buildings. If I change it to 100, you'll get larger buildings. Shrink spacing between the buildings, and this chance no divide is, I guess, if the buildings, how far the buildings are supposed to be from each other. Then you just go down to style. Anything, the default one works. You can even go with the Google. You can make a height map if you want. I'll just go with the default one. Select building models, so you can see the 3D models of the buildings, and make sure to not zoom out because that will mess up your generation. And then you can come down to download here and download an STL file. When you do that, you will get this model.zip. Unzip it, and you have all these different parts. So let me open up a empty project. Select all of them other than the readme. The readme contains a tutorial on how to put these models together to create a city, but let's just bring all of them in. What we mainly want are the buildings. So you can see we have our water here. What is okay? First we have the main domain, which is the ground. Then we have the river passing through the sea. You can change the materials for this, for example. You can just mix some other materials to see how it's looking. Then you have the buildings. If you hide them, you have the blocks inside which you have the buildings, and then you have the roads. Suppose you go to import, select all of them, and extrude them upwards. You get a road network here. It's pretty good if you want to make a aerial view of a city, and you can just light it with some directional light and some moody fog, and definitely make some aerial shots. What I did for the city scene here, I separated the buildings that I had to different sections according to my camera view, one for the left side and one for the right, far right. And we'll go into edit mode. the buildings. Go into face select. You get triangles by default, so select all of them, go to face and triangles to quads to convert all of them into quads. And you just select one of the faces and select random. You select random faces, which will also select vertical faces, which we don't want. So go into density mode and select deselect everything else other than the top faces. Then if you want, you can press SZ to increase the height of these buildings as much as you want. So I'll just increase it a little bit, not this much. You don't need too much variation. You see, we already have a very nice skyline. If you were to get this, with just a backlight, a lot of fog, just for the shapes and silhouette, it works amazing. And just make a new material for it. Let's call it buildings. Go to the shade tab. Uh, Select any diagonal view that you think would look appropriate for your camera position. Let's just go with this for example. Tab A view, check from view, and just get any city buildings at night. Go to any side and pick a similar angle like this. Let's try with this. And bring this in to the shader editor. We could connect it to the base color, but what we mainly need is the animation for this snapshot. So I connect this to the animation color and increase the strength to something like 5 maybe. If you go to UV editing, you can see that it's not exactly lined up. So if you go to the material view, doesn't look great. But what we can do is select sections of it. We can go to, let's say you want select, so you have to select the whole buildings, not just some features faces, and slide them around to fit your point of view. And the sizes are a little bit too large, select all of them. I can increase them to make the UVs just better. And you will obviously have to move around some UVs. For example, if I had a camera, and switch to UV for now, you can see, for example, if you go to this angle, some of these buildings have the sky in the frame. So select this, select those faces. Or you can do that same thing in the UV as well. Select the faces, and then okay, let's turn on the extreme mode. Select the faces, and then you can move them around, align them with the buildings. It's not perfect, but it's a very quick and dirty method to get some decent background buildings for your shots. So this is what I did for my skyline scene here. So I have these two blocks of buildings created the same way, and uh, thank you, Raj Sarkar. You can go back and see how to use this tool and download this city model, customizable city model to use in your shots. I just go to the material preview and just hold on for a bit because even though Blender 5.1 is faster, I'm facing crashes on it, so I've decided to build on the 4.5 LTS version for now. And yeah, that's just good. You can see the bottom of the buildings are not very much textured properly, but from my camera view, you can see that the tops are pretty much working, and you can see the render that they work. If you had a large principal volume to cover your scene, like this covering the entire scene including the background. Some of them very far back and outside. I can probably delete them as well. You can see that we have a very good, vast, sprawling city in the background. Also, let me know, guys, how is the improvement from this last week's version to this render that I have right here. And if you think I need to add or change anything. No, the big cube isn't a skybox. I'll just show you the material. It's a principal volume. It has a principal volume connected to the volume output or the material output, and the density is 0.005 and anisotropy set to a pretty high value. Without the volume, the scene is pretty bright, but there's no depth. Let me just show you once it loads. So if I hide the volume, you can see it's pretty bright, but there's no depth separation. And with the principal volume in, this is what we have. Or I'll just show you the render. Alright, music will be turned down. I'll increase my volume as well. Can you guys hear me properly now? Is the volume fine now, guys? Okay, alright, cool. So, first thing we did was move the main cluster of the buildings. Let me just hide the volume box. We have one hero building here, one hero building here, and cluster of small buildings around this first one and the second one as well. And then we have this set of large background buildings generated with this probable terrain procedural city generator. Okay, co-user, I am working on the opening shot of my short film. I talked a little bit about it in the last session. It's set in a futuristic Indian cyberpunk world because we don't have many sci-fi stories coming out of India, especially animated. So I wanted to make something, and I've also written quite a few scripts in that world, the Indian futuristic science fiction world. So I'm working on the opening shot for my upcoming short film called The Awakening. And after adding the cluster of buildings and the foreground background buildings in the far back, I also added many of these neon ads, created them with Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever you use, just because it's easier and faster. I'm not saying AI can do everything, but it definitely speeds up the process. So, for example, this kind of ads, yeah, buddy, we haven't seen anything like this from India, and no one is really working on this kind of a world. So, I have a lot to tell in this world. So, I'm gonna try to tell my own stories. So, let me just show you the UV editor. So, yeah, I generated lots of trim sheets like this. These are called trim sheets, TRIM sheet, and you can give the AI the direction to generate whatever kind of signs you want, and then all you need to do to add the ads, neon ads, is just maybe add a plane on your building, or you can even choose an existing plane on your building, select the UV, and move it around from one spot to another spot to create a bunch of different ads. And instead of making a different material for each ad, it just speeds up the process a lot. So this is what we have. Yeah, horrible denoising going on here because of the principal volume. But these are the background buildings. First cluster of buildings here, second cluster here, foreground buildings. And our foreground rooftop. Yeah, because see, every time you make a new material, Blender has to reference them from memory. So instead of using a bunch of different materials for each neon ad that you're gonna put, just generate a trim sheet and move the UVs around to get new neon ads in your scenes. And then I use a tool called cable generator. I'll just include the link. It's by Amandeep. Sorry, cable generator. Oh no, it's called GeoCages actually. It's based on geometry nodes. And it's completely free. You can get it from the upload page. Download it, install it in Blender just like any other add-on, and then if you want you can select a surface to start from, or it works without that as well. You will get it under E-tools in your end panel. And you just click on create or edit cables. Since I already have one, I'll press alt left mouse button to create a new section. Just click here in the other section. It'll start creating cables for you. Just you can click back and forth, and scroll up to increase the number of cables. One second, let me just I shouldn't have clicked on spacebar. Anyway, you can drag them down by pressing D and moving your mouse. You can increase the separation by pressing S and moving your mouse separation between them. There are a bunch more controls you can look at in the documentation, and just press right mouse button to make the changes. And then you have geometry nodes set up for the cables. You can change the cable radius, you can change the drip further, you can even work on the separation right here, separation between the cables. You can even change the seed to make them more random if you don't like the arrangement of the cables. Delete this for now. So I added a bunch of these cables between my foreground buildings for more depth and chaos in the scenes. And I had this telecom tower I had designed, so I put it in the foreground. So the premise of my scene is, it's a city shot, establishing city shot of a city going into chaos. So we need to add a terminal kind of thing here and some lights to indicate, some flashing lights probably to indicate chaos starting. And that's about the scene. The city introduction, lights change from probably green to orange or amber or red, and flickering lights in the background, flickering neon signs to show corruption in the system. And yeah, that's basically the opening scene, and that's what we are working on today. So what else we have to do here right now is we need some rain, and we could add some neon animation. So for that I've made a video a few weeks before this Cyberpunk scenes neon animation.
Spike needs to launch it.
I'll just mute this. So here I show you guys how to make this kind of neon signs but animate them as well, instead of static neon signs, to have this kind of animation. There's one blinking effect this kind of a blinking effect. And then you have the flickering effect, and also a texture driven flicker control, which has been inspired by Ian Hubert the Great. If you don't know about Ian Hubert, you should definitely check out his work. So I'll include this video in the chat as well. Should I just refresh this page because the previous chat didn't seem to go through? Yeah, I think we're live. Yeah, the previous Geo Cables chat didn't go through. I'll include that here. Yeah, that's weird. Let me try it from OBS. Yeah, I guess this went through. And also the neon science animation with 3 different types of neon animations. You can check out my full video. And if you have any questions, you can always comment or connect with me on Instagram. I'm available everywhere at pixelbender_in. So let's just add some random flicker on some of these signs. I already animated this to move around, like this is quite common in our Indian scenes. Oh wow. I just checked your comment, Google user. I'll see if I can get you back on the stream. I'll just be back shortly, guys. Anyway, we're back now. So let's select some of the neon signs and give it some random flicker value. Let's give it to this one. All we need to do is set some keyframes for the emission strength. I usually do it at the starting and beginning, ending, and go to the graph editor. If you can't see the specific keyframe, select unselect this, only show selected, and this is neon Hindi, so on plane number 05. Yeah, so here if you select the shader emission, you can see that we have the two keyframes. Let's change the interpolation to linear. Modifiers, add a noise modifier and increase the strength. Yeah, that looks good. But something's up with my other neon signs, so what I'll do is I'll duplicate this, make it a flicker, rename it as flicker, and go into the shader editor, set I think keyframes are set, yeah, and we'll go into the graph editor, noise modifier, increase the strength, and we should have some flicker on this. Yeah, we do. Let's do the same thing for this one as well. I can just change it to the flicker and make it a new texture so that we don't mess up the previous flicker. We would like some offset between the different flickers, and so go to the noise modifier here and just change the offset, and they'll be offset to different types. But yeah, don't seem to see it. Increase the strength. Yeah, okay, the strength is the issue. You don't need it too much, it needs to be subtle also. This one got messed up. Let me just go to the UV editor and bring it back to what do we have here before? Neon night. So Hindi 2. I need to find the image. It's a Gemini one. And we'll move it to the neonite solutions like before. Yeah, that's fine. We got some flicker in the scenes. This one is too much, so let's reduce the strength to something around 12. was working on a terminal for the foreground. Let's bring that in. Just very roughly textured using image textures. It looks good from a distance, doesn't work up very close, but we need it to work from a distance. I'll copy this and also join this because we don't need any issues after bringing it into the scene. Paste it and then shift S selection to cursor to bring it here. Scale it and position it. I think it looks good from a distance. I also have this free Rooftop Assets which you can download from my download. I include the link. So the previous link didn't go for some reason. I'll just include that as well. All these links will also be in the description. You can check them out later. Yeah, that's looking good. And this was my reference which I had generated with Gemini. It's quite different from what we have right now, but I'm liking the look of what I have now as well. One thing I would like to include, which is there in the script, is this temple thing, which I have not put anywhere else, anywhere right now. So let's see if we can put that somewhere, which seems to be a good part of the frame to have a temple. Maybe somewhere around here, right? The center. Okay. For this, I'll go to maxheyart.com and he has a bunch of free 3D assets. And I think I've already downloaded this temple pack. Let me just check. I don't have his. I have his arches pack. Let's get this temple pack. Ancient village temple, arches, fantasy temple. I think this would be more suitable. fantasy temple pack. And I'll open up a new Blender project so that we can decide on the temple model instead of cluttering the skyline scene with all of the assets in his pack. It's a pretty decent looking temple right here. And from a distance it's gonna look good anyway, as long as we light it properly. Let's wait for the EV shaders to load. Yeah, this looks pretty good. We are not having any close-ups of this building right now, so this will work very well. And we can probably put some lights inside here, warm lights. Let's do that. And I'll just open a regular layout page. Change the light to something orangish, increase the radius a bit, increase the power. Copy these both, Control C, and let's come back to our skyline scene. Control V to paste it. Shift S, selection to cursor. I'll move this point line up. Just hide the volume for a bit because it's quite laggy right now. Let's reduce the size, bring it up a little bit. And since we have a heavy atmosphere, I don't think the light is going to be very much visible. I'll change it to 50,000 and see. Yeah, we have some. Let's go for 100,000. Yeah, and slightly reduce the size maybe. Because this temple is actually part of a small narrative beat in my script, so that helps. Okay, now coming to the foreground and my rooftop assets. So I'll just open up an asset browser here, and I think I do not have my assets currently loaded into this version of Blender. I'll just do that really quick. For adding any asset packs that you have made, go to Preferences, File Paths, click plus, go to your location, Rooftop Pack, Cyberpunk Rooftop Assets, add asset library, and save preferences. And we have our rooftop assets here. This is the same way you can add any asset packs that you have made or you have downloaded from the internet and add them, bring them right inside your Blender scenes for a quick drag and drop. So let's bring in some air conditioning units. Let's also bring in some antennas and probably some satellite dishes as well. Just to enhance our silhouette. This asset pack is available for free on my Gumroad. You can download it from the link here. And just let's take a look at the rendered view to see how it's looking. It's looking good, but let me just replace the one of the air conditioning units instead of having the same one over there. We'll include one of the other modules because I have a couple of modules over there. And let's just run a pipe from the back, couple of pipes, just basic cylinder. Okay, there's something wrong. Let me just check it out. Also close this temple asset pack and this terminal as well. If you guys have any questions or you'd like to introduce yourself or just hang out and chat with me for a while, feel free to do so. I would be working in the weekends anyway, and I just thought of starting this live stream series so you can look at my process and maybe even ask some questions as they come along. I do have a light casting plane on top of the rooftop, which is hidden from the camera view. So it's a little too bright, making our rooftop a little too washed out. Darker, mysterious lighting would be better. So I'll just turn down the strength. Motion strength is 10. Let's go down to 5 and see how it looks. Yeah, sometimes Blender just messes up. Like it was rendering in about a minute, and it shows an hour right now. So what I'll do is I'll close this, I'll save this scene, I'll close this and open it again. You guys can just hang around for a couple of minutes while I reopen this project. In the meantime, feel free to ask me any questions, guys. I'm here, just waiting for Blender to load up again. Not bad, not bad. So, not bad, not bad. So, I reduced the brightness of the light casting plane on the rooftop that I had. Looks better. And all that we are missing right now is these kind of warning lights which can show imminent danger to the city grid. Let's add some of those. Let me add this electrical box over here, and we can add the lights on top of those. And I'll just make the lights in a new scene so that we don't mess anything up here. Let's start with the cylinder. This is a 2-meter cylinder, so let's scale it to 0.1. Shade this smooth, auto smooth. Let's insert the faces. Alt E to extrude along arms and extrude them inwards, and Control A to apply scale, and let's add a bevel modifier on top of it. 2 segments should be fine. And I don't actually need a glass material on it, just something that lets the light through. And metal on the outside, I have some metal in the scene, so I'll just assign that. Plus Control I, select the others, and let's add transparent glass. And let's see what adding a light inside it does. Let's add a point light. Yeah, just as I thought, it's not really going to let the light come through, so we'll add a principal BSDF. And this is a technique that I learned from Maxi. Increase the metallic, reduce the roughness, and reduce the alpha a little bit. Did I even assign this? I don't think I assigned it. Yeah, that's this. Okay, yeah, that's gonna work for our fog glass, fake glass material. But we still can't see it, so let's see if adding a volume cube around it does anything. Remove the principal BSDF, add a volume scatter, plug it into the volume. Yeah, that works good. And select half of these faces. Shift D to duplicate them. Scale them on the Z axis a little. RZ180. And scale them down further so that it goes inside. Now remove the transparent glass from this. I also should probably separate these faces. And make this a very shiny chrome reflector kind of material. And what we'll do is we'll open the timeline, set a keyframe, also set the original to geometry. No, let's leave it like that, RZ. Yeah, that works. See, we get some revolving lights. Set keyframe. Let's go to 24 and have or let's do it at 12. Let's have a full rotation, RZ 360. Set another keyframe and go to the graph editor. Modifiers and modify. Let's do a cycles. Let's make it like something like 50, 65, whatever works. Yeah, that is exactly what I wanted. What we'll also do is move the point light a little down, increase the radius slightly, and in the settings let's remove multiple importance so we don't see the reflection very strongly. And that's exactly the kind of light I wanted for the scene. Inside the cube, let's move it all into a new collection, revolving lights. Let's come back to our main scene right now. And let's place the lights on the four corners of this. We'll probably need to increase strength a lot. It's not quite it working? So let's see what we can do about it. I'll come back to this scene. It works fine here, so what I'll do is I'll just bake this action. Bake action over 250 frames. And we have this baked. If I merge this now, will it work? Yeah, it works. And I'll parent this to the mesh. So if I move this, it moves along with it and it works. And I hope when I move it back into the scene it will work now. Okay, I think it's a keyframe issue because it's baked. I'll add an empty so that we can control it. Let's see if adding a volume scatter cube around it makes any difference. Hey Avinash, I do go live every weekend, every Sunday around this time, around 9 p.m. IST. Yeah, so let's reduce the density to 0.1 reason isotropy. Let's see if yeah. Let's see if I can increase the point light strength. It's already pretty high. that might work better. Yeah, that's something like what I want. So let's just duplicate this. So move these two into the revolving lights so that I can control these easily. This one as well. Thank you, man. I usually love making things from scratch. Um, if you see all the buildings in my scene, the ACs, the power boxes, the satellites, everything except some like I use this temple model here from Max's pack, but mostly I love making everything from scratch. You can follow along from the beginning of the stream to see how I made these background buildings, and last week's stream you can follow along as I do a basic block out of this scene. Also on my channel, on my YouTube channel, you'll find a lot more resources. Thank you for your support, means a lot. uh, Especially if you want to learn more about making the buildings, you can watch this massive cities no lag video. Also my best performing video related to the same topic, science fiction cities. 69k views, a lot of love you guys have shown me. Now all I need to do is duplicate this. And place it on the four corners. And these can act as my warning lights for the scene. I'll probably animate them from green to an orangish color to indicate the errors happening in the city grid. Yeah, it's good, but I think I need to increase the size of the volume scatter cube of both these lights because they're washing out a little bit right now. What I also do is I'll probably add a subdivision surface on it so that the volume scatter cube which is around the lights becomes more diffuse. Becomes rounded, and I can increase the scale so that it becomes more diffused. And thank you everyone for joining in. We still have a little bit of few more minutes to go, but I just want to thank everybody who's joined in. Please subscribe, and I'll try my best to be live every Sunday as I work on my cinematic scenes. Also to reiterate, I am working on an Indian cyberpunk world because we don't have enough science fiction stuff coming out of India, especially in animation. All the animation that I see nowadays, and even in my childhood from India, was limited to Chota Bheem and all this. So we really need to challenge the West, so to speak. Yeah, so as I'm saying, this is for my short film. It's gonna be a series of short films actually, called Neon Dreams, planning something on the lines of Love, Death, and Robots, but not exactly an anthology like that. It might be different episodes, but they'll be connected. They'll be connected, and I'll be making a science fiction Indian cyberpunk world out of it. And the goal currently is to produce and animate the first short, The Awakening, and release it within a span of 3 months, 4 months max, for you all to enjoy. And this is the opening scene from that short. And in the meantime, you guys can definitely follow along with me every weekend as I build the locations. There's about 6 locations I've got to build before I can start animating the scenes. This is the first one, and this should be mostly done with some polishes that I do off stream in my free time. And we'll probably move on to the next location by next week, start blocking it out and build it step by step. I need to know why is there a hard cutoff line here, even though I changed the volume scatter. Let's check it out. That's curious. Let's just remove this once and add a new cube. It's still like that. I probably need to troubleshoot this. Any idea, guys? Why do we have this hard cutoff line here? I'm not able to figure that out. Here it's not so obvious, but from the camera view, it's pretty obvious. Even if I cover the entire area, it's still like that. We'll probably troubleshoot that later. But for now, we do have the warning lights here. The one final touch. The scene is supposed to be rainy, and instead of setting up something from scratch, there's some there's a free tool called Rain Generator for Blender by Hepe. It's free on Gumroad, and you can just download this, and you get this file right out of the box. It has a rain zone, this flash zone, And the droplets, I believe, yeah, are just the rain droplets. Can we edit it? Yeah, I think you can edit this, but I don't think we need to. You can select the rain zone and change the tilt. Want the rain to fall tilted. Let's try appending this into the scene. And I believe we can just add a cube and select the geometry nodes modifier to define our rain zone. Add a geometry nodes modifier here. Select the rain zone. Yeah, that works perfect. Can increase the amount. What if we go for like 5,000? Surprise scale, I guess. And tilt it. It's too big, but I think we need some of this. I can just move it to the far edge of the camera so that we cover more distance in the front. And probably reduce the amount to 2000 for now. And add a splash zone for this rooftop. Yeah. And let's turn on motion blur and render this. I think it might take a lot of time, but we'll see. No, not too much because it was previously taking around 1 minute and it shows around 122, which is fine with so much rain and stuff added in. Then maybe I'll increase the amount of rain as well. Okay, we are still live, so let's see if we can fire up Blender one more time. Yeah, I think I may need to use a different system for rendering the rain. It's not a good idea to cover the entire cityscape with a huge rain system using geometry nodes. Let's see if I can render it with lesser rain with 5000 density. We can barely see the rain here, so let's just add another cube and see if we can work with that. Add a geometry nodes modifier and let's select rain zone. So I've got two major problems to figure out. One is, if you noticed a while earlier, I made some revolving safety lights which are not casting proper casting proper volume scatter. If I add a volume scatter cube around it, and also rendering large scale rain for this environment. I'll probably need to do some tests and see what works. But I'll just try bumping up the density a little bit, and let's just go from 5000 to 10,000 once. I should also probably increase the size X so that this bound is not visible so much.